Hello everyone, I'm Bhavna Singh. Welcome back to Insightonomics. So let's start the topic for today without a further ado. In this video, we are going to look at the concept of law of variable proportions or law of diminishing marginal returns. Okay, so start करते हैं. We'll define it, like what is law of variable proportion implies. It implies, or in simple, it measures the effect on output by variation in factors proportion. So first, like variable proportion क्या बताता है? As we know, output is a function of labor and capital. Like we use two inputs, labor and capital. So output is a function of labor and capital. But when you vary the proportion, the ratio of labor and capital in which they are used, then how that variation in proportion will affect the level of output. Okay, so we study this change in proportion between labor and capital and their effect on level of output produced under an law which is known as law of variable proportion. Okay, so this law measures the effect on output by variation in factors proportion. Okay, the ratio in which they are used together. So this law examines the production function with one variable factor and other fixed factor. In short, इसका मीनिंग ये है कि when you have two inputs like labor and capital, you keep one input as fixed and then change the units or the employment of the other factor. Vary the proportion of the other factor. Then how that change in proportion will affect your output. Okay, so we can write our output function Q. Like we'll take the Cobb-Douglas production function. Okay, A L alpha K beta. So we have two inputs, alpha and beta. So in short run, capital input is fixed. Okay, so you keep level of output as fixed, or you can write it. It's a short run production function. In short run, your capital stock is fixed. You cannot change it, but you can vary the level. You can vary the labor input, right? So your labor is a variable factor. Capital is a fixed factor. हम लोग अभी इसमें assume कर रहे हैं, okay? Q is the output. This is your production function. Short run production function. In a short run, in the long run, you can also vary the capital, but in the short run, you cannot vary the capital because capital of stock is fixed in the short run. But you can vary the labor, okay? So while keeping the capital stock, keeping the capital constant, fixed, and then you are varying the labor input, then how that change in labor will affect your output will be considered under the law of variable proportion. Okay. So according to this law, when one factor increases, keeping the other factor constant, other factor like capital held constant, हम लोग किसको चेंज करना है, लेबर को. ओके, देन आफ्टर अ पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, after a point, marginal returns or the marginal product of the variable factor. हमारे केस में वेरिएबल फैक्टर क्या है, लेबर. लेबर diminishes, and that's why this law is also known as, this is known as law of diminishing marginal returns. Okay, so based on the law of diminishing marginal returns, when you keep one factor constant and then you increase the variable factor, then it will result in fall in their marginal productivity, okay, after a point. And as you increase more and more of labor, the marginal productivity of labor will decline steeply, okay. And like there are one or two assumptions of this particular law of diminishing marginal returns. Assumptions. First assumption is that like this particular law will apply only when you keep a state of technology given and constant. दैट मीन जो भी प्रोड्यूसर है अभी जो पर्टिकुलर टेक्नोलॉजी यूज कर रहा है फॉर इन अ प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस, वो वही यूज करेगा. एंड यूजिंग दैट पर्टिकुलर टेक्नोलॉजी, कीपिंग द कैपिटल कांस्टेंट, नाउ इंक्रीजिंग द लेबर, then this law of diminishing marginal returns will work, क्योंकि when you increase the labor, marginal productivity will fall, okay. एंड एज अ रिजल्ट आपका आउटपुट इंक्रीज तो होगा बट एट अ डिमिनिशिंग रेट, बिकॉज मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट जो है धीरे 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 फॉल करते जा रहा है. सेकेंड assumption, that you need to keep the other factor constant. Other inputs like capital held constant. You are varying only one factor. Okay, हमारे प्रोडक्शन फंक्शन में लेबर एंड कैपिटल दे आर टू इनपुट्स, बट यू आर चेंजिंग ओनली वन इनपुट. अदर इनपुट इज हेल्ड कांस्टेंट. Third, there must be a possibility of substitution. There must be a variable possibility of substitution between labor and capital. That means you can substitute between labor and capital. Possibility होना चाहिए substitute करने की. अगर आप substitute ही नहीं कर सकते, both the factors are used in a fixed proportion, then उस सिनेरियो में लॉ ऑफ डिमिनिशिंग मार्जिनल रिटर्न्स वर्क नहीं करेगा, क्योंकि लेबर एंड कैपिटल इवन इन द शॉर्ट रन दे आर केप्ट फिक्स्ड बिकॉज दे आर यूज्ड इन अ फिक्स्ड रेशियो. तो उस सिनेरियो में ये लॉ वर्क नहीं करेगा, ओके. एंड दैट्स व्हाई इन केस ऑफ फिक्स्ड प्रोपोर्शन प्रोडक्शन फंक्शन, इन केस ऑफ फिक्स्ड प्रोपोर्शन प्रोडक्शन फंक्शन, दिस लॉ डज नॉट वर्क, डज नॉट अप्लाई, बिकॉज वहां पे पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ सब्स्टिट्यूशन क्या है, जीरो. यू कैन नॉट सब्स्टिट्यूट ईदर labor and capital for each other, okay. So now we look at this particular explanation using the graph, okay. So ये आपका graph है. First graph is the graph of your production function total, and this is your total product curve, okay. ये आपके लिए किसके लिए, प्रोडक्शन फंक्शन के लिए, जो कि टोटल आउटपुट एंड लेबर में रिलेशन शो करता है. ओके, एंड इसी को हम लोगों ने यूज किया है टू डिराइव एंड कर्व फॉर एमपीएल एंड एपीएल. ओके, सो using this correction in stage 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so in stage 1 output is increasing, at an increasing rate because your MPL is rising like this. Your MPL is upward sloping in your first stage. Okay, and this reaches to maximum in your first stage. You can write MPL is maximum in your first stage. And in second stage, output is increasing like this. Output is increasing at a decreasing rate because your MPL is falling. In a second stage, your MPL is falling. Okay, because your MPL reaches to its maximum in a first stage only. Okay, so this is in a first stage. This is that point. After that point, if you increase the their labor employment, the output will increase but at a decreasing rate. Okay, because the marginal productivity of labor starts falling. Okay, so in second stage आपका output तो increase हो रहा है but at a decreasing rate because your MPL is falling, but it is positive, it's not negative. Okay, APL is positive. So in a second stage your APL is maximum. In your second stage your APL is maximum because when your APL is equals to MPL, that depicts the situation that APL is maximum. After that point your APL starts falling. So in your second stage your APL is maximum. Okay, and in your third stage आउटपुट इज मैक्सिमम. जहाँ से थर्ड स्टेज स्टार्ट होता है एंड सेकंड स्टेज एंड होता है, वहां आपका जो है एमपीएल जो del Q by del L, and when your MPL is 0 equals to 0, there is del Q by del L क्या होता था, slope of total product curve, right? Or slope of production function. MPL is the slope of production function with respect to labor. So when your MPL is 0, your slope is also 0. Okay, this tangent line, this TT dash represents this tangent line, and at this point your slope is 0. So you can say that in a second stage, at the end of second stage, your output is maximum because your MPL becomes 0 at this stage. And after that, if you increase the labor input, your total product start falling, your output start falling. Okay, because beyond this point, beyond this particular point, let's say A, beyond point A, your MPL become negative. Okay, and then when your MPL become negative, if you by keeping the capital constant, if you increase the labor input, your total output will start falling. Okay, so for a rational producer, stage 2 is the optimum situation to produce an output using labor keeping capital factor constant. Okay, so a rational producer will produce until a point A when your MPL is equal to 0 and total product is maximum. Okay, so this second stage depicts the law of diminishing marginal returns. फर्स्ट स्टेज में जो है आपका इंक्रीजिंग रिटर्न्स क्यों है, क्योंकि कैपिटल फैक्टर है वो फिक्स्ड है, वो अबंडेंट है, लेबर कम है. तो जैसे जैसे आप लेबर यूज करोगे तो उससे क्या होगा, जो कैपिटल फैक्टर है वो क्या है, रिलेटिवली उसका यूटिलाइजेशन अच्छे से होगा, बेटर यूटिलाइजेशन होगा, एंड इसकी वजह से क्या है, आउटपुट आपका इंक्रीज होगा एट एन इंक्रीजिंग रेट. पर धीरे धीरे पर कैपिटा कैपिटल अवेलेबिलिटी धीरे धीरे कम होती जाएगी एंड एज अ रिजल्ट लेबर की एफिशिएंसी कम होती जाएगी, प्रोडक्टिविटी कम होती जाएगी, जिसकी वजह से क्या है, आपका आउटपुट जो है कम होता जाएगा. एंड दिस ऑल एक्सप्लेन इन दिस 3 स्टेजेस ऑफ प्रोडक्शन. ओके, सो आई होप आप लोगों को क्लियर हुआ होगा. वी आर डन विद दिस वीडियो. Thank you so much for watching our content. If you find it helpful, make sure to like, share and subscribe our channel. And if you had any queries and observations, please do let us know on our comment section. And you can also join us on our Telegram channel where we'll upload all the links of the YouTube videos and also provide the PDFs and important book notes with respect to economics. Thank you.